the kind of smell that belonged to ceremonies, promotions, and carefully rehearsed speeches. My father's voice cut through it anyway. "She thinks she's important now," he said into the microphone. "But don't forget something. No one is irreplaceable." A few nervous laughs scattered across the room. More than 200 people sat at round tables beneath crystal chandeliers. Military officers, civic leaders, local reporters, family members. My father looked directly at me, the guest of honor, the woman whose promotion ceremony he had somehow turned into a public trial. "Rank doesn't make someone special," he continued, "and neither does money." My mother smiled beside him. My younger brother Travis folded his arms and nodded. The room shifted, not loudly, just enough. People could feel something was wrong. They thought this was about a family disagreement. They thought this was about money. They thought they understood the story. They didn't. Because standing 6 feet away from my father was a uniformed legal officer carrying a sealed folder, and inside that folder was something my family never imagined existed. Evidence. Years of it. Proof of financial exploitation. Proof of fraud. Proof of lies. I said nothing. Not because I was intimidated. Not because I was angry. Because I was finished explaining myself. My father adjusted the microphone again, preparing to continue, but he had no idea what was about to happen. For most of my childhood, I believed love was something you earned. My father taught me that. Not with words, with conditions. The smell of motor oil followed him everywhere. Every evening he came home from work carrying the same attitude. Whatever I achieved was expected, and whatever I failed to achieve was remembered. When I was 12, I won a regional academic competition. I carried the trophy home myself. It sat on the kitchen counter for 3 days. No one mentioned it. When my brother scored a single goal in a recreational soccer game, my parents threw a party. I learned quickly. Achievement wasn't the issue. Attention was, and attention had already been assigned elsewhere. At 15, I started working part-time. At 16, I was paying for my own clothes. At 17, I bought my own laptop after saving for 11 months. My father called it independence. What he really meant was convenience. Every responsibility I accepted became one less responsibility for him. Every success I achieved became something he expected again. Nothing was ever enough. Not the grades, not the scholarships, not the awards, not the sacrifices. When college acceptance letters arrived, my father barely looked at them. Instead, he asked how quickly I would be able to contribute financially after graduation. That was the moment something changed. Quietly, permanently. I stopped trying to earn approval. I started building distance. A year later, I enlisted. Not because I wanted glory, not because I wanted medals. Because I needed structure. Because I needed purpose. Because I needed a life that belonged to me. The day I left for military training, rain tapped against the bus windows. No one cried. No one hugged me. My father shook my hand. My mother checked her phone. My brother never showed up. The package I mailed home after completing my first training cycle came back 6 weeks later. Unopened. Wrong address written across the label. I stared at that package for a long time. Not because of what was inside. Because it finally answered a question I had been asking for years. Some people only value you when they need something. The military taught me the difference between usefulness and worth. The first deployment changed everything. The desert heat felt alive. Equipment dug into my shoulders. Sleep arrived in fragments. Meals happened when circumstances allowed. Complaints solved nothing. Results solved everything. One night, our convoy encountered a critical logistics failure during a regional operation. Vehicles stranded. Communications degraded. Timelines collapsing. Everyone was exhausted. Everyone except Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Hale, my commanding officer. She watched me work through contingency plans while others focused on problems. 3 hours later, the convoy was moving again. Mission intact. No drama, no speeches, just competence. Later, she handed me a cup of burnt coffee. "You know why you'll succeed?" she asked. I shrugged. "Because pressure doesn't change who you are." That sentence stayed with me. Years later, during another deployment, I coordinated emergency resource operations affecting hundreds of personnel. The consequences of failure would have been measured in lives. Compared to that, a family argument about money was nothing. Compared to sleepless nights in hostile territory, a parent raising their voice carried no weight. Compared to military accountability, entitlement looked fragile. Colonel Hale became one of the few people who saw me clearly, not as a provider, not as a daughter, as a leader. And leadership taught me something simple. The calmest person in the room usually has the most options. By the time I returned home years later, my career had advanced, my income increased, my family noticed immediately, not my service, not my accomplishments, the income. Requests began arriving, small at first. A vehicle payment, temporary help, emergency assistance. Every request carried the promise that it was temporary. Every temporary request became permanent. Eventually, my parents lived in an apartment leased under my name. Their vehicles sat on insurance policies attached to my accounts. Their phones operated through plans I funded. My brother used credit access connected to my financial history, and every time I tried discussing boundaries, they accused me of selfishness. The more support I provided, the less respect I received, until one evening my father leaned forward across a restaurant table. The smell of grilled steak lingered between us. He asked for another substantial loan, the largest yet. When I hesitated, he smiled. "You should remember something," he said. "What?" "You are replaceable." No hesitation, no apology, no doubt. My mother laughed softly, my brother looked away. That was the moment the final preparation began. Not revenge, documentation. I reviewed every account, every contract, every authorization, every financial obligation connected to my name. Months later, those structures disappeared. Legally, methodically, quietly. The reaction was immediate. My mother blamed me, my brother accused me, my father threatened me, first privately, then publicly, finally institutionally. He contacted military administrators, filed complaints, made accusations, claimed abandonment, claimed misconduct, claimed moral failure. Every allegation triggered reviews. Every review triggered records. Every record supported me. Because while they were speaking emotionally, I had been documenting factually. The pressure increased. My responses became calmer. The accusations became louder. My answers became shorter. The room held its breath each time another complaint collapsed. Yet my father continued. Because some people mistake persistence for strength. That mistake led him to the promotion ceremony. That mistake placed him behind the microphone. That mistake created the moment standing in front of him now. And right here, at the lowest point of the story, I want to say something. If you have ever given everything to someone who never once stopped to ask if you were okay, hit that like button. Let's remind each other that our silence was never weakness. It was preparation. Back in the ballroom, my father finished speaking. Confident, certain, victorious. "You've forgotten where you came from," he announced. Applause never arrived, only uncertainty. The legal officer stepped forward. The sealed folder remained in his hands. My father smirked. He thought the audience belonged to him. He thought public humiliation was leverage. He thought he still controlled the narrative. The officer looked toward me. I nodded once. Nothing more. My father pointed toward me. "Tell them," he demanded. "Tell them why you abandoned your family." A pause. A single heartbeat. I finally spoke. 5 words. "You signed every document." The room froze. My father blinked. "What?" The officer opened the folder. Paper against paper. Sharp. Precise. Permanent. Years of records. Acknowledgements. Payment histories. Written admissions. Requests. Demands. Threats. Everything. The officer addressed the audience. He explained that multiple investigations had already reviewed the allegations. Every complaint had been disproven. Every accusation contradicted by evidence. Every financial arrangement had been voluntary. Every support structure funded solely by me. No misuse, no misconduct, no wrongdoing, only exploitation. My father's hand trembled slightly, barely noticeable. "Unless you were watching." I was. My mother stopped smiling. My brother stared at the floor. The officer wasn't finished. Because there was a second folder, one no one expected, including me. Colonel Rebecca Hale stepped forward from the audience. Retired now. Still formidable. She carried a letter. Years earlier, when I updated my estate planning documents before deployment, I had named charitable military scholarship programs as primary beneficiaries, not family, not relatives, future service members. The letter confirmed it. Every asset, every investment, every major holding, protected, directed elsewhere. My father realized something at that exact moment. The financial future he assumed belonged to him never had. Not legally, not morally, not practically. The color left his face. No one argued, no one interrupted, no one rescued him. Because facts require no defense, his voice dropped. "So that's it?" I looked at him, for the first time in years, and answered, "You taught me exactly how to survive without you. Nothing more." Too late. The ceremony continued eventually, but the illusion didn't. Afterward, I walked outside alone. The evening air felt cool against my skin. Traffic moved in the distance, normal, indifferent. I sat inside my car for several minutes before starting the engine. No celebration. No victory speech. No revenge, just relief. For years I believed my value depended on what I could provide. I believed love had to be purchased through usefulness. I believed approval waited on the other side of enough sacrifice. But my father never understood something. The strongest people are often the ones nobody notices preparing. While he measured control, I measured capability. While he built dependency, I built independence. While he demanded access, I built options. People who underestimate quiet strength usually discover it too late. The truth is simple. When someone treats you like a resource instead of a person, protecting yourself is not betrayal. It is wisdom. If you have ever been the person in a room who was dismissed before you could speak, if you have ever watched someone reduce your entire life to a single convenient label, I want you to know something. Their opinion of your value is not your value. The people who truly matter will never require your exhaustion as proof of your love. Leave a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Stories like this aren't rare. They're just rarely told all the way through. Subscribe and stay with us. There are more stories waiting.